And at the top of this hour, we're getting some breaking news from Nepal. After the violent protests, Nepal government lifts ban on social media. The Nepal government on Monday announced that it has withdrawn its earlier decision to ban social media sites amid the violent protest by youth that left at least 20 people dead and over 300 others injured. Nepal Minister for Communication, Information and Broadcasting Prithvi Subba Gurung announced that the government has withdrawn its earlier decision to ban social media sites following an emergency meeting of the cabinet. So this was the site, the visuals of the protest, the violent protest that took place in Kathmandu yesterday, after which the Nepal government has now lifted the ban on social media. Now, the Nepal government announced on Monday that it has withdrawn its earlier decision to ban the social media sites amid the violent protest that we're showing you on your screens right now by the youth of the country that left at least 20 people dead and over 300 others injured. And my colleague Rohit Singh is now joining us with more details on this. Rohit, despite the Prime Minister of Nepal, KP Oli, being adamant that he won't bow down to the demands of the youth, we're learning that the Nepal government has now taken back its decision and has lifted the ban on the social media apps.
Well, yes, Anjali, what we are learning is that in a late night deliberation that went in Kathmandu, as far as the government is concerned, it was finally decided that the government will lift the ban on the social media platforms to ensure that peace and normalcy returns back to the Himalayan kingdom. And remember the manner in which massive clashes were witnessed not only in Kathmandu yesterday, but which fanned out across Nepal, and several towns and several districts were badly impacted because of this, and especially in Kathmandu, where we saw thousands of protesters on the streets of Kathmandu barging inside the parliament. Ruckus took place, and then the police also had to resort to firing, in which 20 innocent lives were also lost, and hundreds of people are still injured and undergoing treatment at various hospitals in Kathmandu. So it was an extreme situation that happened in Kathmandu, and as a result, the government, it seems, has finally decided to bow down to the pressure from the Gen Z, and it has decided to lift the curb on all the social media platforms on which the ban was imposed. And curfew has also been lifted in Kathmandu, but still there is a curfew imposed in several other towns of Nepal. And we are hoping that throughout the day, if the situation continues to remain normal, then the curfew may be lifted in those areas also. But the situation in Nepal continues to remain extremely tense in the backdrop of the killing also that took place yesterday in Kathmandu. Back to you.
Rohit, do stay with us, and my colleague Pankaj gets us a ground report from Kathmandu showing us the aftermath of the violent protest. Take a look.
इस वक्त मैं संसद भवन के आगे में खड़ा हूं, जहां कल दिन भर जो है वो खूनी खेल हुआ था। यहाँ पे जो जेंजी का रिवोल्यूशन, जो जेंजी प्रोटेस्ट यहाँ पे हुआ था, उसमें पुलिस के द्वारा की गई बर्बर कार्रवाई में अब तक 20 लोगों की जान चली गई है। सैकड़ों लोग अभी भी अस्पताल में भर्ती हैं और अपने जीवन की रक्षा के लिए वो उनके परिजन जो है भगवान से प्रार्थना कर रहे हैं। आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे जो संसद भवन के आगे लोग जो भी यहाँ आ जा रहे हैं, वो यहाँ रुक के वो दृश्य देखना चाहते हैं। कल जिस तरह से यहाँ संसद भवन में तोड़फोड़ हुआ और जिस तरह से यहाँ पे उपद्रव मचा अभी भी दिख रहा है। आज सुबह 5 बजे ही काठमांडू से कर्फ्यू को हटा लिया गया है, तो जनजीवन सामान्य है। लेकिन कल जिस तरह की घटना हुई यहाँ पे और जिस तरह का आक्रोश युवाओं में अभी भी बरकरार है, उसको देखते हुए लगता है कि आज फिर से कोई न कोई प्रोटेस्ट उसके खिलाफ में जरूर होगा। हालांकि सरकार ने कल मध्य रात से सोशल मीडिया पर लगे सभी बैन को हटा लिया है। सरकार इनके मांगों के आगे झुक गई है, लेकिन ये जेंजी जो है इसी पर मानने वाले बिल्कुल भी नहीं है। इनका कहना है कि जब तक प्रधानमंत्री अपना पद नहीं छोड़ देते और जब तक नई व्यवस्था यहाँ पर नहीं आ जाती तब तक उनका प्रोटेस्ट आगे भी जारी रहेगा। हालांकि गृह मंत्री ने कल अपना इस्तीफा दे दिया है, उनका इस्तीफा अभी भी मंजूर नहीं हो पाया है। सारे राजनीतिक दलों ने इसका विरोध किया है। कल घंटों तक चली बैठक के बाद आखिरकार सरकार को इन प्रदर्शनकारियों के आगे झुकना पड़ा और उन्होंने मध्य रात से सारे सोशल मीडिया पर जो है वो प्रतिबंध हटा लिया है। काठमांडू से पंकज दास।
And my colleague Rohit continues to stay with us. Rohit, were these protests and the unrest only about the social media ban, or does it also reflect the deeper frustration among the youth of Nepal?
Well, Anjali, let's understand it this way, that the violence that was reported yesterday in Kathmandu and across various parts of the country was not just limited to the blocking or ban on the social media platforms, because what we are learning is that this unrest has been going on in Nepal for the last few months because of the rampant corruption and lack of transparency in the government. Because what the Gen Z, which is the new generation, is of the view that there was rampant corruption in Nepal, and it was only on the social media that people were using to reflect their views and highlight what the kind of corruption that was going on in the Himalayan kingdom. And that is why when the government decided to ban the social media platforms, in fact that unrest that was going on, it spilled on the streets of Kathmandu yesterday when thousands of protesters, they gathered in Kathmandu and absolutely went on a rampage. And as I was mentioning you, it's not just limited to the banning of the social media platforms, but it's because of the corruption, lack of transparency in the government, which they and how they use the social media to highlight it. And when the government tried to muzzle them and gag the voice of the Gen Z, that is when this entire violence was reported, when thousands of protesters came on the streets and indulged in vandalism. The police also had to resort to all kind of measures to ensure peace and normalcy remains in Kathmandu. But in an unfortunate incident yesterday, in fact, the firing that took place from the Nepal police side, 20 innocent youth lost their lives, and hundreds of people who have also suffered critical injuries are undergoing treatment. So the situation as of now it continues to remain tense, and the government has also bowed before the pressure of the Gen Z and finally decided to lift the ban on all the social media platforms. Back to you.
All right, Rohit, do stay with us. We'll come back to you for more updates. So Nepal is on the edge once again. After massive protests and clashes in Kathmandu, Nepal government has announced to withdraw its earlier decision to ban the social media sites. Government has also requested the protesting Gen Z group to withdraw their protest. Home Minister Ramesh Lekhak has resigned, citing moral responsibility for the crackdown that left dozens injured. The Nepal government insists that the protests have been hijacked by extremists. Minister Prithvi Subba Gurung says anarchists infiltrated the movement. But protesters allege systemic corruption, political high-handedness and censorship in the country. Their demands are that shut down corruption, unban social media and accountability from the leaders.
As I was going out, I saw a lot of people showing up to this protest. And what happened was, me as an individual, me as a Nepali citizen, something came up to me. So me and my friends, we decided to come to the protest. And it saddens me to see that how the people we're protesting against do not care about us.
There are people dying in the streets. I've seen 10 different people, more than 15 actually, more than 15 people dying, being shot. There is not enough ambulances. The hospitals are running out of resources. The government does not care about us. They do not care if people die. They're killing little children, people in school uniforms with school ID cards. This government does not care about us. It's time for us to get on the streets, wear our masks, wear our helmets, and come down on the street and challenge the government, because I feel like they're taking us for granted at this point.